Hello,
Hello.
and welcome to Locutors of Trek Season 2, Episode 5, where we're going to talk about art, the art of Star Trek, with a great artist in her own right, Jenny R. Johnson. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
everybody.
us.
Hi. Very nice to be here.
Well, thank
We
you.
are your hosts, Davan and Dave.
Indeed, Locutors of Trek and Plain Simple Tailors. So,
Many names.
indeed, we could call it Techne, we could call it Arts, we could call it Kunst, but each of these things points to some confection or combination of, I would argue, skill, intuition, some sort of object of desire in the sense of the sort of the focus of the work, and then the execution itself, right? And this is something that is human from the most ancient of times, right? What are the first things we find about human beings are flaked stone things or maybe handprints on
Yep.
a cave wall that
Absolutely.
we paint around. I mean, these things are really deep in our humanity, and so it's wonderful to take a look at someone who's who's a practicing artist, and
Right.
has, in that sense, the sort of like the whole dialectic of practice and theory going on all the time.
Definitely.
Very welcome. Very welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited. I, any chance I have to get to talk about Star Trek anyway is like, I'm completely down with, but Star Trek and art together. Oh, yeah.
Well, we like to cycle through the themes, and it's been fun. And
Right on.
this one. So the art of Star, as you can see, I'm a collector of fine art.
I saw. That's awesome.
A slight gallery just over the top of your head there, I think.
That's
Indeed.
fantastic.
I'm looking forward to your Deep Space Nine. Actually, I've been watching the progress, and it's very.
Oh yeah. That was actually cool watching the station come up on your intro there, because I've spent a lot of time looking at it over the last couple of weeks.
I bet. You're probably nitpicking our station. You're like, well, you know what?
Those ellipses, yeah.
Just circle around those pylons one more time.
Yes, exactly.
Well, you know what? That was well focused intro there, Dave. So I might just derail us a minute. How about we do our famous segment, the space line? We're gonna get the space line with you, Jenny.
Okay.
We're gonna give you a quick rapid fire just to see where you stand.
Love it.
On your Star Trek here. All right. Number one, favorite show.
TNG.
Favorite episode.
Changes, but Darmok right now.
Yeah, that always changes.
Yeah.
Favorite movie.
Star Trek 6, First Contact, depending on my mood. Yeah.
Yeah. Good answer. Who's your captain?
Again, it changes. Picard is like home base, but like,
right hot.
yeah. Oh man, like, yeah, they're so good.
Like choosing your favorite child.
Yes.
Favorite character.
I want to say Riker. Believe it or not, Riker, Data. Oh, Dax. God, Raffi. Oh,
all good characters.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not giving you single answers here. Like,
that's okay.
Yeah.
It's your space line.
Thank you.
Favorite villain.
I mean, is Q a villain? Is he?
Yeah, I accept that.
Oh, he certainly functions as.
Yeah, I mean, he's that and Chang. General Chang.
I mean,
yeah.
Calling Worf microbrain is not very nice. I think.
I think we at least know about Q that he'd be annoyed if you left him off a villains list.
Agreed. Yes, definitely.
What do I have to do to get back on the list?
Yeah, look out.
Exactly.
Do I have to send Voyager back to the Delta Quadrant? I'll do it. Favorite alien species?
Ooh. Ooh. Oh, God, how do you answer that? I mean, I really like Klingons, but are they my favorite? I don't know. I abstain.
Okay, that's fair.
The logical answer, of course.
Thank you.
That's very, very politic. Planet you would most like to visit?
I feel like Rice is crowded, so Beta Z.
Ryza is also, but everyone else has picked for the space line. So you're right, it's
Yeah.
crowded in many ways.
Yeah,
Beta
right?
Z, interesting. Why Beta
Yeah.
Z? Because everyone can read your mind?
No. Actually, it's funny. It's because of the matte paintings in
we're gonna talk about those.
Yeah, Menage a Trois, that Menage a Trois, whatever. Anyway, but it's that has always captured my imagination.
I like it.
Oh man, those mappings are one of the things that definitely formed my imagination about space as a youth, for sure.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
We'll move on to those directly after the space line then.
All right, yeah.
Favorite ship?
The D, baby. Forever.
It's a good choice.
Forever
It's
the
so,
D.
It's just so comfortable.
Oh God, it's just, and it's so ingrained in my brain that I don't know. There are other ships that just don't scratch that itch. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, I will only buy beige furniture.
Nice.
And if you're up on your TOS references, biggest Herbert.
Oh, am I? Oh, biggest Herbert. All right, help me.
You know the space hippies? They're like Herbert. So it's just like who's the lamest Star Trek character? Who's the biggest Herbert?
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. There's a lot.
Yeah, everybody chooses somebody different for this one. This is the anti-Ryza question.
Like, oh wow. Oh, this is out of left field. And I'm so because I also I do try to be very positive about in my interactions with Star Trek. So even if someone is sort of annoying in that respect, I tend to be kind of nice about it. Oh gosh.
Me too when it comes to Star Trek.
Oh, I don't know. Oh, I mean Herbert, but yeah. No, I don't know. I'm drawing a blank.
Fine.
Yeah, nobody jumps out.
Hey Dave, you pick one for her.
Well, I mean, some great Herberts might include the guy that yells, "They're doing a countdown!" I love that guy.
Oh, that
it's
guy.
His only job ever.
Bit of a Herbert.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, he's a bit of a deep cut Herbert.
Yeah,
so
that works though. All right, well, since you guys talked about it, I thought we would talk about, of course, the art that makes Star Trek. Oh yeah, go for it.
I've got one.
All right.
It just Where No Man Has Gone Before, the TNG version, when they've got Dan Mandelone acting, and the fire's there, and he's like, no.
Oh
and
yeah.
Picard's like, imagine. Yeah. Anyway, no shade to Dan Mandelone because he is the man, but
he played a Herbert in that instance.
In that moment, yeah.
that's a good choice.
It's a good one, man.
Yeah, you have to make those single line appearances work on Star Trek, or you could forever be labeled a Herbert. That's the thing. It's a lot of pressure.
Exactly.
But yeah, okay. I thought we'd talk about the art that makes Star Trek, the art within the Star Trek universe, but also the art that has been inspired by Star Trek. But
fantastic.
On the topic of the art that creates Star Trek, I do have a picture of some of those matte paintings here because they are.
Oh man,
I love them as well. I miss them. I understand it takes a lot of skill to make CGI, but there's something about it that just doesn't come alive. I used to not know how they did this. I thought they built these places.
Oh my god,
when
I know.
I was a kid. I'm like, did they just build these?
I was like, holy crap, they're there. But I used.
But
this is one of the ones I love. the whole
it's a
of
good
the whole of the COVID pandemic, I
Mhm.
was working in healthcare, and so of course we
Oh
were doing
wow.
medical rounds over Zoom.
Hmm.
So the rest of my colleagues, who were not necessarily Star Trek fans, well, one was, as I learned, would always be like, "All right, where are you coming in from today, Dave?" Because I
Uh-huh.
was finding these things so deadly after like that 900 set of rounds
Oh
that
yeah.
I would just, I would start coming in from like the bridge of the Enterprise or Dakor
Hmm.
Province or somewhere. And at one point, I came in on, a galaxy type bridge, and one of the charge nurses looked up and they were like, "Holy crap, is that the Enterprise?"
Nice.
Yes, finally a compatriot. But
Hmm.
yeah, anyway, sorry. Bring
No,
back,
no, that's awesome.
Planet N, which is this has been a lot of places.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah.
part of Angel One. That's a
Yep.
bunch of places.
Hmm. The
Yeah,
starbase
I
where
don't.
Picard had his heart
That's a
Ooh,
good
that's
one.
not Angel One.
replaced.
Dang, no.
Oh no, Angel One too.
Some of these are
Oh,
kind of
nice.
blurry, I guess.
Farpoint.
Oh, there's a good one.
Oh God,
Oh,
yes.
I love
Yeah.
these.
Yeah, the
Like
Klingon
that
ones
was
are
is that
amazing.
is that one is that Kling? Yeah, that's Klingon,
Yeah.
right?
oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
definitely Klingon.
Yeah.
God,
Nobody
love
else
it.
puts talons on their columns like
Oh, I
that.
know, right?
I guess not. Like
Now
some of these are just they're
that's
so
great. Is
good.
that the
Is that
terraforming station?
or is that the Masterpiece Society?
Oh yeah. Oh no, I think you're right.
Maybe? Maybe?
Or were
No.
they in a blockier structure? I may be thinking about. No, I'm thinking about Starship Mine, where they're in that sort of
Oh,
block.
I think you're
That's a good one.
I think you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
With
Yeah.
Hutch, call me
Yeah,
Hutch.
different place.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Call me
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
I love
but
Hutch. Call
so, I
me
mean,
Hutch.
I love that episode. Yeah.
one of the
Yeah, it's a
things that
great one.
sticks out to me about these matte paintings is that
Hmm.
I feel like they come out so beautifully of the tradition of cover art,
Oh
the
yeah.
science fiction, and like the Nova magazine and those sorts of both pulp publications, but
Hmm.
also um, the more sort of printed novel stuff. So, can you speak a bit about just about the sort of the I mean, is that high art? Is that low art when you're doing a matte painting like this with its provenance? Like, how do we
I mean,
just sit?
that hierarchy is who's to say, I mean, it's the same, like what's art, what's craft,
Mhm.
and
What
fine art as far
television?
as I'm concerned
Mhm.
is about like technique and
Mhm.
materials and I don't know, like, and it also I don't know, it kind of depends on how it hits the viewer, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that gets into a whole thing about like the artist's intent has, in my opinion, no bearing on what or how it's received by the audience. I think that's, the
Sure.
audience decides what art is,
I mean,
basically.
that's the point of escape, right? Where it escapes
Yeah,
the artist. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah,
But I guess, I
and
mean, part of my question was like, if we're thinking about, say, Farpoint, which comes out in like
mhm,
1987, when a lot of those categories were still really, really firmly in place.
yeah,
Uh, I mean, there's lots of challenges to it, but they
mhm,
were much more firmly in place than say they are today.
for sure.
What do those matte paintings do in that for us in those kind of, I mean,
I
they're
mean, I think, yeah, like I think attaching them in the art world, attaching science fiction to, or fantasy to those immediately would like knock them down into a lower stratosphere in terms of what is considered, fine art, which is absolutely insane. Because you look at like Ralph McQuarrie's Star Wars mats and the idea that those are somehow not as good as something that, that's sitting in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Like it's bonkers to me,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
They're stuck in these schemas, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the same way that, the Oscars just doesn't look at fantasy, doesn't look at science fiction like it's in terms of art and film. Similarly, I think those same kind of prejudices exist.
I can relate to that sentiment as a comic fan, which, you know, a lot of
Exactly.
artists think is kind of
Oh, and
a
he picks up an
forward.
X-Men too. Nice.
Well, I have
Yes.
an X-Men podcast as well.
I love it. That's awesome.
There might just be an issue of X-Men always near at hand.
I love it. That's amazing. Amazing.
That's not wrong.
I was gonna, actually, now that I'm looking behind you, I'm like, oh, that's all X-Men, isn't it?
Oh, this is my X-Men background for that.
Oh my
podcast.
God! What? That's amazing.
And then I moved back to Star Trek over
I
here.
love it.
They're my jams because I think they share a similar sentiment. You know, it's like
Absolutely.
let's all just get along. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you know, or be conquered. I like Klingons too. You know, it's okay.
Yeah.
To conquer
Yeah.
people every now and then.
So before we
But,
move further, can you just say a few words about your own practice, just introduce?
Oh, yeah.
Like where you got started, what you worked on, what's your real
Yeah. I mean, I'm.
It's hard to point in the direction.
I know. I've had a lot of practice. I taught online for years, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Anyway, but I am. I'm an oil painter. I'm traditionally trained. I went to the Nova Scotia College of Art and Design, and I was encouraged to make art. So I did a lot of.
How you say it?
Right. You know, coming out of school, I graduated in 2006. I did a lot of work, traditional work. I did a lot of landscapes. I did a lot of portraits and, you know, people's children and family pictures and sailboats. You know, we live in Nova Scotia. Yeah, a lot of sunsets and sailboats. Yeah, with, you know, and good reception. And but I just got to a point where I was like, I want to paint something I like, you know. So I started off. I just decided, well, you know what? I've never painted anything for myself that I've kept, you know, because I sort of everything I painted I sold, which was not a bad problem, by the way. So I decided
there are worse problems to have, I suppose.
Yeah. So I decided to paint myself like a giant TARDIS interior to put over my couch. Yeah. And that kind of led to, I started working on that. And then my boyfriend at the time asked me to, hey, you know what? You could do these portraits. Would you be willing to maybe like, you know, do me one for my birthday? There's a scene from Stand By Me that I really love. And, you know, so I did that. And then I finished the TARDIS and I put both of them online just on my Facebook, and people were like, and I started thinking like, hey, this is cool. I'm having fun doing this. People really like it. And because HalCon is here, the local, for those who aren't here, the local sci-fi fantasy convention. And it was suggested to me like, hey, you could make paintings and sell prints. And so I thought, you know, I started thinking about what are my favorites? I wanted to stick with that idea of like the things that mean something to me. I didn't want to just paint anything, you know? So I started with TNG, and, you know, Lord of the Rings and Back to the Future and Star Wars and, oh gosh, what else did I do that first year? Ripley from Alien. So I kind of, I just kind of went through and thought about like iconic moments, iconic characters that mean something to me as, you know, as a baby Gen X, you know, like with a millennial sister, and you know, like just the things that
We're all in that sphere here.
Yeah, and exactly, and all of a sudden that gave me this sort of new purpose with my art, because it wasn't just about. I mean, once I did these paintings and started like getting responses from people, again, the way that because my intention doesn't really mean anything, but in terms of how it's being received, people connected to it, not just in terms of like, oh, I like that movie, but I remember seeing that scene for the first time. I remember watching this with my dad. I remember, you know, and I've had so many interactions like that with people over the years, especially about Star Trek. Oh my God. And it's just been the coolest thing. Like, it's just amazing. So for me, I'm making work that, number one is like the nostalgia factor, stuff that I'm interested in doing, but also things that are, for me, artistically challenging. I like to take on, not just sort of like, I want to recapture the moment, but I also want to make sure that I'm nailing like the light and the, even the things that the cameras do. I mean, that's one thing I've always loved about painting from photographs is incorporating the weird stuff that cameras can kind of like, those effects, like the ways that things get bent by the lens, or the ways that light kind of does cool things. So all of that. So there's like a technical challenge involved in it as well for me that I'm interested in.
Can just because
Please,
you both have an exemplar of this behind your lecture, what if we just talked about the poker game here for a second?
Right.
Because I Frank, the first time I ever saw this at Davan's place, this was at a different house. I came down and he was like, "Look at this! I just got this thing," and I was like, "Holy crap!" That's like it's like the imagination's eye view of that group at that table, almost right, like the disembodied perspective. Was that done from a frame, or is that
it is it's okay. The last frame of the show, the last frame of them in the show. So like right before, I mean, actually the image that I was working on was just barely starting to fade into the bulkhead as it was passing through. So there was like a little bit of you could see like the windows kind of. Anyway, yeah. So and that specific moment I wanted to paint because I don't think there's ever been a moment in any other show or any other movie that has meant as much to me as that did, that moment. And it's like, and because saying goodbye to that crew was not cool for me. I was very, very sad, like devastated. And having that moment at the end of the show, I was able to like carry that forward, knowing that they'd all come together and they were a family and they were still together. And yes, there were movies, blah, blah, blah. But that's, yeah.
We didn't know that at the time.
Fun looking.
Exactly.
Sorry, Dad, what you saying there? I missed that.
Well, I was just saying, no, we didn't know that at the time.
Exactly.
Like, don't worry, the movie's coming in a year. It's like they don't tell you that.
No.
But it's like what you say. I have a baby fussing. Okay, take over for a sec. I'll be right back.
All right. How about that local sports team? No,
right?
I hear they win more than they win. No, so the coming back to the sort of the art of Star Trek in that sense. So, I mean, this is really like connecting at a level of both personal passion, but also, I mean, clearly, if you're going for, looking for the palettes and the colors and the effects, there's also a relation to sort of the filmic as an art medium that it seems like you're commenting on as well. Would that be
absolutely? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, 90s Trek, like, oh gosh, no problem. Yeah, 90s Star Trek, you can look at a frame and it's pretty clear, even if there's no recognizable characters in it, you can pretty well tell what period it's from. Even
the episode.
Absolutely. Whether it's I mean, furniture, a wall, but also because of the quality of the film and the way that the lights were. I mean, one of the things that and again I'm sort of jumping, but one of the things that I loved, oh my god, I am obsessed with the art department from Star Trek Picard season 3. Obsessed. I'm
obsessed with that season of Picard as well.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm particularly obsessed with is the recreation of the bridge, and not only that they did it so well, but all of the extra steps they had to take to match, to to create everything and make the colors work in the way that it worked, that it looked on screen. Because am I explaining this well? Okay, so
different cameras and stuff. It's just like
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
He was wearing green, but it looked gold.
Of Kirk's.
Exactly. Yeah.
Shirt. Yeah.
So the color, and the lights that they're using now ended up making everything look wrong. In terms of recreating 90s Trek. So in order to do that, they had to change lighting, and in some cases even kind of adjust the color of what they were working on, and especially the LCARS panels. I mean, they did a whole bunch of stuff on the LCARS panels, even to the extent of putting like a little vignette around the edges so that the LEDs that they were using didn't blow them out so much that they didn't look the way that they looked in the 90s. It's just, oh my god, it's
awesome.
it's oh my god, it's insane.
Seeing those Okutagram LCARS panel things were just like, it's like, that's what I've been looking for the whole series, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Sometimes you can go home again.
Oh my, yeah.
yes.
But it's it's like you were saying about what's considered fine art and how things relegated to sci-fi and comics often aren't. But isn't like, I don't know, the explanation I get from artists is oftentimes like, what is art? What makes great art? A lot of artists say is it's like, well, if it makes you feel something, it's good art, or at least it's successful. It's something. Well, but these scenes, like there are scenes from Star Trek Deep Space Nine or even TNG that I've seen 100 times, and they still make me cry every time. So
absolutely,
having like a freeze frame of that, like that's Cisco. That's Cisco of that. That is like one of the most meaningful things to me. Like, there's few things I would rather like. Boats are nice, I guess, but I can just imagine Jenny storming out of NASCAR. You know what? I hate boats, and just
down with boats.
Yeah.
I actually just read a little oh god, words thing someone said about something. Quote, there we go. Somebody that worked on DS9 while the show was in production, he had to go get something somewhere on the set and found himself right at the point sort of in the promenade and the hallways where you couldn't see the ends of the set, where you were just, and all of a sudden he said all of a sudden for 1 second I was on the station. Like I worked in the production office, and for that moment I was on the station, and I've got goosebumps saying it.
Yeah, me too. That's the feeling I want to have. I want to feel like I'm on these things.
And to have created a space like that has that effect, not just on the people watching the show, but on the people who are working on the show. Yeah. Like the work that the art direction teams have done on these shows is mind-blowing, and I think one of the things, because of the strike last year, there was a long period of time where the actors and the writers couldn't talk about the show at all. And one of the good things about that was that the production people actually got a chance to talk about what they did, and people were interested in hearing about it and were blown away. I mean, Dave Blass, Liz Klukowski, Kit Stolen, Todd Marks, Doug Drexler, that whole crew, the Okudas. Oh my God. The work that they did, and the fact that they got to talk about it, and that people were, I don't know, like I feel like I didn't watch Star Trek in the 90s, and I mean, I knew some of those names because I had the technical manual, and I had, the companion that Larry Nemechek wrote that's like, got all the behind the scenes stuff. So I knew some of that, but I don't feel like those departments get the appreciation. Exactly. Oh my God, that one. Yes. Yes.
There.
Yes.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yes.
My copy is upstairs right beside my technical manual.
Yeah.
This is all we had back in those days.
Absolutely.
But I don't know how many dog-eared times I have gone through those things.
Mm-hmm.
And in a similar way to something like, a great score lifts.
Yes. Yes.
The kind, touching the aesthetic of a property, a franchise, a world like this. It's like Davan said, it is kind of like going home again, but it's like touching something that that as the alternate Cisco says is real.
Yeah. Oh, what a nice way to put it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's
Speaking of that aesthetic, how about a little Rigel 7?
Oh, come on.
Hey now.
I got one more. Look
that was awesome. Oh, fantastic.
Look at that.
Like, I thought they built these places because they didn't look like paintings to me as a kid. I'm like, what are these? Like, but anyway.
Where have they got it? Are they just
where
in Belgium or something?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Who knows?
I thought Belgium was a magical place when I was a kid.
Belgium is a magical place.
Well, there you go. Fair enough. Sorry, Belgium. Or Belgian listeners.
Chocolate.
That's right. Chocolate and nothing. Everything is fine.
Do they do clocks too? Are they the clock people?
That's the Swiss.
That's the Swiss.
Pretty big on clocks, yeah.
To be fair, I think my knowledge of Belgium comes from like an episode of Inspector Gadget or something. So,
well, that's good because we're now segueing into European knowledge.
Perfect.
It's quiz time. You know what? Maybe we should turn our attention to the art because I don't think we see much of it, but the art within the Star Trek universe.
Ooh.
Like maybe you have a keener eye for it than I have, but I'm trying to think of examples of art we've seen. Like there's like pottery, like the Kurlan Neskos.
Yes.
And there's certainly
a lovely wavy glass piece that Data doesn't know where to put in his quarters.
Yep.
Right.
Geordi's. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Data paints a ton. I mean, there's a whole episode dedicated to like
him painting birds.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean music too. Music is massive in Star Trek. One thing I've really appreciated in Lower Decks is how they've taken some of those background art pieces that are, in random quarters, and they've put them into the sets. Because really, almost everyone's quarters has some random sculpture. There's going to be some painting-ish thing on the wall. What else? Picard's got that Mintakan tapestry. Tapestry. Sorry. Tapestry.
That's when you make it with the duct tape.
Yeah.
Tapestry's the episode.
Tapestries.
Yes.
Sorry, this is a terribly Canadian joke. I apologize.
No, it's great. That's perfect.
There's also fine collectors of art like myself, like Kivas Fajo.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Not like myself. I'm not like Kivas Fajo.
I hope not.
No, he's the worst. He's the worst. Like I tried to rank him as an S tier villain on our villains ranking convention that we did. I'm like, Kivas is the worst. And people are like, what? He's not. I'm like, no, he is.
He's pretty bad, actually.
Yeah. Terrible.
I mean,
he was going to shoot that lady who was like his best friend.
Oh, yeah. He's not. Yeah. I mean, he's not a war criminal. He's not a war criminal.
Because he was never in a war.
Deliberately like he chooses to be the way he is. Because he's in the world not to.
Yeah, and I mean, and he also like poisoned the water in that other place to get the energy.
Right.
Yeah. Kivas Fajo sucks.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He's a Herbert. What a Herbert.
He is a Herbert.
Yeah. But he loves art.
He does.
That's true. Terrible guy, but he loves.
Oh my god! Yeah. I don't know. I'm joking.
What's that quote from Monty Python? I don't know much about art, but I know what I like. That's Kivas Fajo.
Oh my God. There was this guy that used to come in, this fella who was pretty big on himself. Used to come into a bar that I worked at, and he would talk about just whatever, like traveling and wine, and he came in one time and he was like, because art came up in some way, and he's like, I like art. I buy art.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Last time I was on the Riviera.
Exactly.
I bought 3 arts.
Yeah.
3 arts.
I like art. I buy art. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where can I get an art?
So, you make a wonderful point that like there's a wide distribution of sort of ambient art in Star Trek backgrounds. From textile design. I mean, like Quark's suits alone are really long conversation probably, but even the way the Romulans' use of checked fabrics or very angular, sort of straight, sort of Doric sort of lines. These things establish a tone so quickly, right?
Yeah.
In that sort of pictures say 1,000 words sort of sense. So, how? I guess what I'm trying to talk about is the sort of aesthetic of Star Trek and what say really stands out as the defining characters. Because for me, say for instance, the defining characters of say the Star Wars aesthetic, like industrial components and rust. Is lived in and used, and it's got scuff marks. But that would not be how I would describe a Star Trek aesthetic. Say with the Pakleds or in a couple of like rare cases. But so what would you say would be sort of the defining aesthetic features of a Star Trek aesthetic?
I mean, it's funny because it really depends on the era.
And the species.
That too, definitely. I mean, one of the common complaints about the new era of Trek is that it doesn't look and feel like either 90s Trek or the original series, because it's colder and shinier and darker. So that in itself, I mean, definitely that kind of brighter. I mean, in terms of, let's say, Starfleet, or the Federation, you're looking at bright and clean and sort of minimalistic, but not like austere. But one of the things, actually, as you were saying that, I was thinking that was one of the things about Deep Space Nine that was such a like, because you go from the Enterprise D, the lap of luxury, carpeted paradise, to
the beige queen, we call her.
Yes, exactly.
Very much station wagons I rode in as a child.
Exactly. Yes.
Kind of like on a cloud.
Yep. Totally. And then you go to this new station where you have some recognizable Starfleet people, but you've got, the Bajoran officers in it's so gorgeous. Oh my God. She's so beautiful. Oh, you've got Oda in brown. Yeah.
They don't like the fat one, John.
Yes, exactly. They're wrong. They are wrong. Yeah. They're wrong. Yeah, so, I mean, people are wearing bright colors. You go to Deep Space Nine, you've got, Kira's wearing red, but you've got half of the station dressed in gray and brown. The station itself is, I mean, it grows on you, but when you first see it, when I first saw it in 93, yeah. I was like, God, this is ugly. And the Cardassian Elcars are ugly and everything's broken. And, but that established, I mean, that station is oh, like it's
Oh, yeah.
it's such a world unto itself. Yeah, like man,
It took me a long time to warm up to Deep Space Nine, and now it's my favorite thing in life, basically.
it's so good.
Like,
Oh my god, it's so
yeah.
good. Yeah.
But like, I started watching Voyager before I started watching Deep Space Nine. Yeah, but Deep Space Nine, it sucks you in, and then it's like, but you're like,
It really does.
Like, it's got those broken grays and all these different kind of dirty tones, and then you've got Torque and Garrick.
Yes.
And they just stand out like yeah, colorful thumbs.
Yeah.
No, like you're sort of thrust face first into like the Cardassian milieu, right?
Yeah.
And I think as a choice, it's really brilliant, but it's really different in the same way.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you know, I mean it. Oh, like it was uncomfortable to. It was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable to be there and hang out on that station at first. You know, you're watching O'Brien trying to figure it all out. It just, like, and, you know, especially after him having this, like, awesome, super, you know, transporter job and, like, solving problems and not getting...
Boring transporter job.
Yeah. He's got his sleeves rolled up, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That annoying doctor. God. His exasperation with Julian carried me through much of it.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Like, you and me both, Miles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that line. It's just like, look, when I first met you, I hated you.
Yeah.
And now, he's like, and now what? He's like, now I don't.
There you go. Deep Space Nine, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, even, you know, costuming wise, I understand why they decided to change the uniforms from the TNG era. And again, costuming, there's another art form. You know, taking that comfortable two-piece that we come to, you know, love so much and switching them into the, like, jumpsuits that were more utilitarian and less attractive. Initially, you know.
It grows on you.
Well, yeah, and especially after you watch seven seasons of Voyager, you're like, okay, all right, jumpsuits work, you know. And then going to Enterprise. Oh, and Enterprise is like a whole other art bonanza because you've got you know, you've got the like NASA style coverall jumpsuits. You've got, you know, the like submarine like spaces that are, you know, built for trying to jam as much into as small a space as possible.
Everything's so metal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again,
you never stub your toe on anything on the Enterprise. They've solved that problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Or the Enterprise D, I mean, but the Enterprise the NX-01.
NX-01.
It's stub toes everywhere.
Yeah, you're gonna hit your head, and you're gonna, you know, you're gonna get electrocuted, and you're.
Here it goes.
They're all flying by. Yeah.
Is that the refit, or is that the?
But she does have one of the best deflector
NX-01.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
what's that?
The deflector dish on that Enterprise is maybe one of the best placements of any of them. Just right up front,
nice,
where you might want a deflector dish. But anyway, starship design, I suppose, is a whole other art.
Absolutely.
Honestly,
talk to John Eves, I guess, about that.
Oh my God, yeah.
That structured much of my early imagination as a kid. It was, and he's a well-known spaceship artist. I guess this dude named Stuart Cowley.
Yep, I know the name.
Book Spacecraft 2000 to 2100 AD. And it is just one of the. I think I have it here in my Google Drive. The cover of the book here. Let me just see if here. I'll bring it up. Oh, it's not going to work, is it?
That's not going to work.
Anyway, but it's one of
like,
the.
That's not you.
That's not it. It's just one of the most wonderful books in that it gives you this sense of both the continuity of it with our world, which I think Star Trek also does, but also shows these spaces and possibilities that are outside of our current grasp.
Yeah.
You know? But I think in some ways that kind of speaks to the human in us, that in one way we're inside our grasp, in that we kind of know ourselves and whatever. But there's also so much of each of us or our possible. There it is, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bam!
Let the yellow shirt take care of it, Dave.
Oh, jumpins! Right over to you. Ann.
That's perfect.
That was awesome. That is like one of my favorite books of all time.
That's
But
awesome.
oh, it's so good.
Check it out, everybody.
Amy's
Dave
book,
recommends.
Amherst,
Nice.
years ago, where you could just barely get through the stacks.
Yeah.
So good. Anyway, but that sense of a kind of futurity, both in ourselves and in the sort of world in general, seems to be part of the aesthetic of Star Trek. Whether we're like painting sort of space structures or ships or stations or that sort of thing. And since you paint Star Trek things often, what does it feel like to paint the future?
Good question.
I mean, it's funny because it's the future, but it's also home. So
well said.
Yeah. Now it's funny because I've spent the last couple of weeks, like I said, painting Deep Space Nine. And one thing that's been really interesting as I'm I'm working on these tiny little details and I'm really zoned in, and I keep thinking that I'm painting Star Wars. I keep like mentally going to a galaxy far, far away, apparently. Just something about the shapes and the edges, especially on Deep Space Nine. There's like the little cutouts where the docking ports, and there's all these like little doohickeys, and it's really interesting because it's so much more about the metal and when you look at the starships, the Starfleet starships specifically, they have plating and they have details, but it's different. It's smooth. It's pretty. It's detailed, absolutely, but it's just different. Yeah. So it's just I don't know. It's amazing. Not only just looking at those different ships, different designs. That they really are like characters in themselves. Like they're such an important part of creating those worlds, universes. Like I mean, yes, you can look at like old episodes of Doctor Who, for example, and where they've got no budget and they've managed to create a story that still works. It still works. But having artists creating sets and creating aliens and creating costumes for these, for these properties, for these shows, for these universes, just lets us live in them so much more believably. We have to do a little less like mental gymnastics to just exist in them, and it's I'm constantly in awe of the people who the world builders
Yeah.
Took a lot of people to build the Star Trek universe, but
yeah,
they did a very fine job of it. To me, the Romulan warbird is like the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Like, have you painted a warbird yet?
I have not actually, and it's funny because ships. I'm relatively new to doing ships. I mean, I tend to be a portrait artist.
Well, let me steer you toward the New Orleans class.
Ah.
No one wants to paint your New Orleans class, Dave.
Oh man.
Well, it's funny. Once I finish Deep Space Nine, I'm actually doing the rebuilt Enterprise. That's the next the next painting I'm doing.
Wow.
Yeah, like just about to go to warp. So it's the Galaxy class saucer section with the star drive from the Syracuse. Yeah. Oh, and actually, super cool because I worked. A friend of mine is a VFX artist who's done work on Star Trek. He worked on some of the remasters for TNG.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So he was actually the one that helped me model the Deep Space Nine. Like he gave me basically a 3D high definition model of the to work from, which is why I'm able to pull the detail that I am. And he just helped me sort out the Sierra Prize, we call it. So we were looking at it, we were trying to match a specific scene, and the model that he had initially wasn't quite right because there are some differences. The Syracuse star drive is like there's like the little yoke on top of the deflector is a little bit different. The deflector itself is different. The nacelles of the anyway. And then he was like, "Oh wait, I think I might." And then he looks up and he's like, "Oh yeah, Doug Drexler actually sent me the model that they used on the show. So the painting that I'm doing is actually we were able to take the model that they used on the show and." Oh yeah, so it's like I'm pregnant. It's the coolest thing that's ever happened.
That is amazing. I was wondering how you were getting that detail on Deep Space.
Yeah, Man. I've got some connections. Yeah.
You're getting the straight goods right there.
Yeah. I was just like, this is wild because like those little details and actually what's one thing that's really interesting to me, because like you say, there's all these different aspects of art in Star Trek. There's the art that the characters create. There's the ambient art. There's the production design, and everybody who's a fan has a different sort of what their area is. There's ship people. There's character people. There's tech people. And
there's uniform people like my cousin Dave.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
We just ranked them all.
Oh my God. Oh, that's so amazing. Oh, that's so awesome. And
we have 81 separate uniforms or something like that.
That's incredible. Yeah, that's actually wild. So that's insane.
We were at it for
But it's really important to me if I'm going to paint if I'm going to paint ships and stations. Those are going to be for the ship people, and they need to be bang on as far as I'm concerned. Like I just that is like something I feel like I owe it to the ship people,
As a ship person, let me just say.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
what's your audience like? Who's gonna buy a ship painting? Right, it's people who love the ships.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah,
like me.
I love it. That's awesome. And it's so cool. Like, just people, it's so interesting to me, just the way that, you go to an art museum and somebody will love the Monet and somebody will love the Van Gogh and someone will love the Warhol. It's, again, with the uniforms, the ships, everybody's got their own taste, their own.
Some of us love the X-Men.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I'm absolutely one of those dudes that's like trapped by like battles of like Cadiz, like the Bay of Cadiz, and I'm like, oh my God, look at that! That's got 18-pounders on it. Like, oh.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, you're so right about that.
Yeah,
I could not agree more from a art consumer's perspective.
And I think that's one of the reasons why, these Star Trek. I mean, there are other universes, but like, this is the universe. The Star Trek universe is so immersive, and so there's so much for everyone. I talk about it like it's Star Trek is a buffet, and there is something for everyone on it. And I may not want what's over there, but I definitely want this bit. And there's so much variety. Oh, infinite diversity by infinite combinations. Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Indeed.
But that applies across the board, I think.
It does, and I think that's kind of what we're doing here on this podcast with these themes. It's just like there's, I figure there's no theme I can come up with that we can't shine Star Trek through effectively.
I love that.
Absolutely.
and vice versa, because we're trying to get there. We want to, we've only got a couple centuries to go, and we kind of want to steer ourselves towards that future.
Exactly.
As we were noting last week, we're only 39 years away from 2063. Fifth.
Isn't that crazy?
We have a lot of work to do to get a fully functional warp drive in that time.
Yep. Yes, we do.
And if you think those Vulcans aren't going to judge us, you haven't been watching Star Trek, because they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
They are going to be gatekeepy AF.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
We love them, but yes, they are.
Yeah. They're going to have opinions.
They're like Deep Space Nine. The Vulcans got to grow on you.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Oh, my God. Yeah. So what, this year, is it this year that we just have to get through the Bell riots and then?
Was it this year? Oh, 2024, wasn't it?
Bell riots, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, crap.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I don't live in one of those sanctuary districts.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we avoided that.
So far.
So 2024 is not over yet. What am I saying?
There's still a bunch of 2024.
Oh, yeah.
There really is. What was I thinking?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well. For me, it would be very hard to narrow down the moments I would want to paint if I were you. Because I remember you and I were just chatting about Deep Space Nine once. And I was just like, how do I not blow up Jenny's messages here with 100 suggestions of Deep Space Nine? Because it's it would be so hard. How do you do it? How do you narrow it down?
I mean, lately it's been, people have been commissioning moments, which has been nice. Yeah, because it's saving me choosing. Because my list now is so big that I just trying to narrow it down. I mean, I know I want to make a Data painting. I know that. But what moment?
The painting of Data doing a painting.
Exactly, right? Exactly. I want to paint Kirk, but what era Kirk? What episode? What movie? It's
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much possibility, right? You have to do a triptych of Ardra in various forms.
Oh my God.
All sorts of crazy.
That's amazing. Yes. Yeah.
Say what you really want to say, Dave. Have you ever thought of painting a Romulan commander?
Ooh.
Nameless Romulan commander.
Nice.
In another universe, we could have been friends.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's so many. It's so hard.
I mean, the last one that I chose because I have done several commissions was the poker game from Picard.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
And that was like a no-brainer for me. That was,
that one will be behind here soon enough.
Oh, yay. Awesome. Yep. It's,
I didn't realize how many Star Trek ones you had, though. So I don't know. I'm just going to have to get
it's been growing.
I might have to downsize size. So I can,
yeah.
I'll have the smaller ones circling the big ones. Because I'm going to need the biggest size of your Deep Space Nine.
Ah, yes. Yeah, so I'm Deep Space Nine. I've got the Enterprise D coming. I just got commissioned actually to do, interestingly enough, the view of Starfleet headquarters from Homefront. So, which is cool because it's got a matte painting, but it's also the real building. Plus, there's a model attached to it as well. So it's so it isn't just me recreating a matte painting. Yeah, and I'm just really excited about that because it's going to be closer to Christmas at a time when I'm going to be ready to just do something landscapey and kind of chill. I'm excited about that.
Right on.
Yeah.
If I ever had was a billionaire, I would be. I'd give the money away if I was a billionaire. But say a millionaire even, or more well off than I am.
Well, if you had money,
I would have each room would be like Star Trek matte paintings. So you could walk in and you could be on Rigel 7.
Yeah.
Or, that would be amazing. I've always dreamed of that.
You just reminded me of we all live in the sort of, it sounds like HRM-ish area.
Yeah.
the Athens on Quinpool Road. Do you remember that? It used to have
Yes.
things of like the Greek countryside.
Mhm.
See, I would love
I
that.
worked there.
Oh, did you?
Oh, really?
I was a cook there. Yeah.
So you really know those paintings.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that, folks, is how small Halifax is. There you go. Yeah.
No,
Small world
if you
after
spend enough years in the restaurant scene, you've worked with all in Halifax. But
That is a fact.
I'm no longer in such a scene. But yeah.
Me neither. I'm 7 years out. I mean, honestly, getting out of bartending was the reason that I was able to start doing this full time because,
Oh, right on.
yeah, the old restaurant lifestyle does not lend itself to getting much done outside of the restaurant. You know.
No, it doesn't.
So I hear, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, again, I was looking at some of those matte paintings just today. Oh my god. Ooh. And
I can just scroll through these.
They're just like, they're so gorgeous. They're, especially the ones, later, not later on, but in the original series, they're static. In some of the ones in TNG, they started incorporating little effects and digital stuff, which is just cool in itself. I'm always really interested in how they make that happen. Oh, and actually,
did they do that before the remasters?
They did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yep, yeah. In
That
some
was one of the things
cases,
that blew me about the original series remasters, that they've done a lot of those.
yeah,
and the backgrounds just make it pop alive.
absolutely.
It really benefited from it.
One thing I thought was really interesting, because I was just on Memory Alpha, like just kind of matte paintings. Just you can punch anything into Memory Alpha, and there will
really
be
can.
an entry for it. It's crazy. And they were talking about in Voyager, in the opening of Voyager, the ice moon that it passes.
Oh yeah,
is actually a matte painting that they took and put on a 3D model. So it's like a skin. It's a 2D matte painting that they turned into a 3D. Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. I just found that out today. And that's super cool.
I would have thought that was entirely CGI.
Nope. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so the way that they can take textures and map it onto a 3D model, that's what they did with it. But it was actually a painting to start with.
I maintain there's still a sweet spot between CGI and practical effects. Like there's this perfect blend of the two that still exists that doesn't get used very often. But like going full CGI does leave things cold, I find.
Yeah.
And you are limited by fully practical, but there's this sweet spot.
The AR wall that they've used that they're using on Discovery and on Strange New Worlds is kind of both-ish, because they're digital paintings. They are digital paintings that they're using, but they are paintings, or they are, two-dimensional things that they've it's crazy because they're able to incorporate those effects and things that we were talking about that they might that they would have put in afterwards. Say like if it's the engine, you've got like stuff happening, but it's an interesting evolution of what matte paintings are and how they're used, and because it's still it's not a set. It's not a set, and it's not something that they're green screening in. It's something that lets the actors exist in that space in a way that they don't necessarily always get to. That they get to sort of interact with it it's right there. I don't know. It's really interesting to me.
Like at some level, it's still like logically, it still feels like that functions like the old like trompe l'oeil style of painting.
Yeah.
Right? Like the way you like paint in more detail on the marble on the staircase, or like paint a desk that was photorealistic enough to go like, holy crap, why are those off? Oh, right, it's on a wall and it's painting.
Yeah.
There's something there that is like the illusion actually supports the reality
Yeah.
in some sense, right?
Absolutely.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, the fact, the Strange New Worlds engine room is a set that's this deep, and then the AR wall is the rest of the engine room. It's just, it's wild. Like it's just such an interesting use of that, and a way to make that world more real, to make the scope of the engine room be as big as they want it to be. It's really cool. And actually, when they went back to Rigel 7, I thought they did a really great job recreating that, like recreating the feel of this. I thought, they used the AR wall, but they managed to keep that, stage matte painting feeling. It was just, it's really cool.
Look at this moon. Can you imagine the tides on Rigel 7? Like,
oh my god!
They would have a huge surfing culture, I bet.
Oh yeah, those Rigelians.
Oh my god, big surfers.
Yeah. Heard it here first on Locutors of Trek.
That's right.
That's right. They got a pretty good tidal bore going on up there,
Yeah, exactly. Is there anything about Star Trek that's particularly difficult with oil painting?
I mean, not any more than anything else. Although, to be fair, I haven't painted the Enterprise yet, and I know it's going to be challenging because of the shapes, like those. I mean, Deep Space Nine has so many ellipses. Yeah, exactly. There. Yeah. See, look at all those ellipses. Like it's and you've got to. They all have to be right. They all have to be. So there's a technical aspect to doing, especially doing ships. I mean, it's different.
So many windows.
Oh my god, so many windows. Yeah, I'm gonna be
sick of drawing windows. The Deep Space
I'm gonna be.
I'm gonna be.
Yeah. After this and after the Enterprise, what am I doing after that? I'm painting. I'm painting the shawarma scene from Avengers.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's going to give me a break from Windows, although I'm going to be pretty sick of that one by the time I'm done with it too, I think. So there's a lot in that picture. Anyway,
busy scene.
How would you translate like lower decks to your art? Could you ever do that? Could you do it like a lower decks painting?
It's funny. I don't like recreating photographs. Gives me a challenge in a way, and I don't know. I'm torn about the animated series specifically because it feels like I'm just taking like I'm literally just making a copy of someone else's drawing. But I don't know if the right.
Could you put like a realism spin on it, or maybe?
That I think also one thing I don't do a lot of is making composites, like putting people in different places, and I feel like Lower Decks would lend itself more to that kind of So actually, that's a thought right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things we noted the other day when we were doing the uniform review is that the actual live action version of those uniforms we saw was good, but it was not wholly accurate.
Absolutely, yeah.
Particularly on the shoulder pieces and a bunch of things. So like there's bits of getting to that sort of natural realism stage.
Yes.
That seemed like they would propose particular challenges from as opposed to the other direction, photorealism to natural realism in the painting,
Yeah, definitely. I think, like that. Yeah, that to me, it's sort of I want it to be more of a challenge. Yeah. And but because I am a realist painter, I'm not pulling stuff out of my head So, creating a live action Lower Decks piece, I don't know.
Interesting.
May not be my jam. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, that's part of defining your practice as an artist.
It is, yeah.
Figuring out really how you would or if you would approach those sorts of things.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. There have been a number of people who have wanted me to paint them into scenes. That's a very common, not common, but it's a more frequent request than you would think. But because
how many from Seth MacFarlane?
and none that I know of, but that one wouldn't be so difficult, actually. Yeah,
There you go.
that one wouldn't be so hard. I think I can rustle up a couple of shots of that.
I'm sure.
That's true.
Look, I'm just jealous. We've all wanted our own Star Trek show.
Absolutely, that is a fact. Yeah.
Well, where else do we go here? Do we have anything else to say here about the art of Star Trek?
I want to give a quick shout out to Matt Jeffries.
Okay.
Of the Jeffries Tubes fame?
Of the Jeffries Tubes fame, who basically was the architect of the whole thing. I mean, he was the one who sat down and did hundreds of drawings of starships for Gene Roddenberry to, finally get signed off on, that what became the Constitution class. But he also designed the interiors too. I mean, he designed he designed the visual language that Star Trek is built on, and deserves a lot of credit for that, I think.
No kidding. How about establishing an aesthetic like that, eh? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. I think the art of Star Trek, it is so much about, like we talked about that world building and about creating a visual language, whether it's, the Federation, Starfleet, other alien worlds, alien ships, but something that all works together and lets you live in that universe. And it's incredible.
See, that's another thing that interests me about Star Trek too, is the different styles of each of the alien species that they even kind of adhere to as generations go by in these things. You can see the design lineage between the early Klingon stuff to where it ends up, and I found that very interesting. Is there an alien species aesthetic that you find particularly interesting?
I mean, definitely the Klingons. Just seeing not only just I mean, obviously they're like military uniforms, but as Next Generation went on, we saw more and more like civilian clothing in the Klingon Empire, and that it's so good. And the weapons, like Dan Curry, the stuff that he created for it. Yes, exactly. The batleths, the macleths,
the duck dogs, everything.
Yeah, and like you say, the Romulans, God, the Cardassians, like that, just industrial creepiness.
Well, I mean, Romulus is just gray. The walls are gray. The people are gray. Even the Romulan heart is gray.
The secrets are gray. They're all gray. That's intentional.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. No one will suspect you if you're wearing gray.
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, it's
which color there is.
Yeah, it's there are so many. I don't know, and it's been interesting through the years, watching that evolution and seeing how those original designs, like you say, for the Klingons, for the Vulcans. Oh God, they're
the
like
Ferengi. That's not awesome designs.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly, and just the way that they've evolved over the years, and contributed to what we know and what we feel about those species and about those worlds. Again, because art is an integral part of not just human, but I think, I don't know, life. Like, where is there life that there's not art?
No, and all of a sudden you had me thinking of everything from birds' nests to spider webs to the patterns on tree leaves.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That sense of expression is an exquisite expression in that sense, right? Like, is everywhere.
Yeah, and it's integral, and I think Star Trek's a really good example of that. It's integral to making a world feel lived in. Like you just can't create a ship in space that people live on and not fill it with people things,
Yeah,
like,
and even shape it the way your people shape things. That's one of the things I love about it, right? Like, there are a few, like that wonderful triangular thing that's a Lesepian ship, and it's, the Outrageous Arcona's ship, and it's everybody's ship at some point. There are a few bog standard industrial designs, but when you get to the real expressions of what people think, this is us in space.
Yeah,
they really look remarkably different. I mean that I don't see how people wouldn't do that unless they just had a culture that was like, well, boxes are fine for space.
Yeah,
I mean, I suppose, and they do that. That's the Borg, I suppose. Who cares? Make it a box.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting in itself because, I mean, aerodynamics isn't a problem in space. So, like, of course, the Borg would not worry about it, but why a cube? It's just really, that in itself is really, why a cube, Borg? Tell us about the cube. Like, what makes the cube better than a pyramid? Or,
well, they have the diamond. They have the Borg diamond and the Borg sphere.
They love the platonic solids sort of shapes.
Yeah.
I mean, to their credit, they're not very brittle because they're so thick and chunky. Like, you always look at a Klingon ship and you're like, one shot and you're done, Bird Prey. What are you thinking? Like,
the little whoop.
Yeah. But, it's just a glorious death. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Borg, would never fly around in something like paper thin in one particular spot on the ship because that would make no sense to the Borg.
Yeah.
So, why the cube? Like, why would the shape matter to them at all? You're right. Why is it not just mass? Yeah.
Why isn't it just exactly? Yeah. Like,
it's just a mishmash.
Yeah.
They need a component. They just stick it on there.
But again, it says something about them.
You're right. There's more than just the arbitrariness of function. There is some fundamental aesthetic to the Borg that's about the sort of regularity and order. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's all about just having redundant systems all over the place, and just sort of having things be mirror images of other things to just have the same ship 100 times. It still manifests in the form of a cube, and that's interesting. Like,
honestly, that still sounds very Borg. We'll just play around with 100 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like 709 hinted at with the Omega particle, there's a certain amount of something about mathematic aesthetics, at least, that the Borg appreciate.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, oh, I love that. Yeah.
Infinite. What does she say? Infinitely harmonious, but infinitely complex. Is the Omega particle. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Painting the Omega particle. There's a challenge.
Oh.
Because you see it for a minute.
Good heavens, you do. You do. I want to paint.
See,
I want to
there's a
paint
million
the
things.
entire inside of the Dyson sphere. You know, it'll be my life's work.
Why a sphere? See, these are the questions.
Well, that's because I got to close it around the sun. You know.
That's true.
No, it's just nature was just like,
Yes.
make it a circle. It'll be great.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a planet, only the inside. It's great.
The
problem.
Dyson rectangle just sounds like.
You're gonna get into trouble. You got something stuck in that corner there.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's not gonna work.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
Well-
where can people find you, Jenny?
Well,
Not just your art, but your podcasting venture as well.
yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. So, well, I'll start with that. I am. I host on Virtual TrekCon on Tuesday and Friday nights. I am a co-host. I shouldn't say I host. I'm not the one. Anyway,
Don't worry, I call myself the host all the time, and it's never just me.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm on the main viewer talking about Star Trek news live every Tuesday night at 9:00 Atlantic time. And on Friday nights, it's Star Trek and Chill, same time, 9 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's just Star Trek and Chill. We talk about if there's stuff going on, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, we just kind of, we've got a little trivia. It's a hangout. It's fun. And in addition to that, you can also find me on Nerdiest Prime, which is another podcast because I really like talking about Star Trek. So yeah, so I do. We've been doing reviews of TNG. We're gonna do a kind of like condensed Discovery review session. And in terms of me and my art, you can find basically everything you can find through my website, jennyrjohnson.com. But I'm all over social media. On Twitter, if you're still there, you can find me at Jenny R. Johnson. But if everywhere else, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Threads, whatever, I'm Jenny R. Johnson Art.
You just reminded me of a funny Star Trek meme. There's always those ones with Jordan. He's just like,
Oh yeah.
it's just like dead naming people. He's like, dead naming Twitter. He's like,
Yeah. Exactly.
It's so funny. I love that those Geordie memes. There's a lot of good Trek memes. Like there's the Picard and Riker one where it's always.
Oh my god, the joke. Yeah, the jokes are the Jellicoe jokes. Oh my god, They kill me. I love them so much. Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty great. Jellicoe's great. I mean,
He is
underappreciated.
He is. He's a good captain.
I agree. You should have
not
been there
there
on
to
our
be
captain's
friends.
ranking convention.
He's just not their captain,
No, he's not their captain.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't know how to get it done, and he wants to get it done.
Get it done.
4 shifts. There are 4 shifts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, definitely check out all of those things Jenny mentioned. And if you still haven't got your Trek fix, you check out the stuff we've got going on over here on Live Long and Podcast. Look, there's our handsome crew there in our 4 divisions. In our command division, they do our episode reviews over there in the red. And then we do our Star Trek Radio Theater over in the Ops division and, video games and that sort of thing. And in the Science division that I run with an iron fist, we do our Debate 9 show. We do, what do we have here? We've got Trouble with Trivia we do. Trouble with Trivia is a fun show. We've recently just had on quite the matchup between myself, Adam Woodward, and Mark Cartier from the show.
Oh, nice. Yep. Mark's a trivia buff big time.
Oh, yes. He shows up. He's just like, I'm expecting to lose. And like 10 minutes in, he's just like,
You all. He's dominating.
Like, Oh, yeah. Well, I won't spoil the ending, but go check that out. But you know what? There's going to be a rematch on a different battleground. So I'm not going to spoil the ending, but the same 3 competitors are going to be in our next Debate 9. So
fantastic.
That is a wonderful statement. I won't spoil the ending, but there will be a rematch.
There will be a revenge. 2 people are out for a blood revenge against the other, and I'm not going to say who's who. go watch the trivia and then watch
Amazing.
the 89 Revenge Edition. Because that's going to be... It's... I'm spoiling it, aren't I? Well, like, you know, you can piece it together, people, but check it out. And, you know, of course, we did do our uniform forum recently. And, you know, we've ranked captains, we've ranked villains, we've ranked...
That's so great.
We have ships, we rank the ships. We do a convention every now and then when we get together.
That's true.
Rank things into S tiers and
I love
A
that.
tiers and F tiers. I don't know what's next. We'll see.
We even made a double F for some of the uniforms last time.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know how I felt about the double F category.
Nice.
You know, it happened. It happened right in front of
We
my
needed
eyes.
to break it out.
Old.
We had a huge amount of opprobrium to share around.
There was not a lot of love for a couple of Archer's outfits on the panel.
Oh my God.
I wasn't as harsh on them as some.
Oh my God.
like
Oh,
Archer. What was it? It was Archer's like formal wear, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dave was practically angry about the
He was
Archer's formal wear.
He was so irritated by them.
Yeah, he's like, look at this.
Oh my God.
This is terrible.
It was
Yeah.
great.
He's our resident.
Criticism at its finest.
But yes, and you know, check out. Oh, go ahead, Jenny.
Oh no, I was gonna say I watched the motion picture again recently, and the absolute cluster that is the uniforms in that movie. I mean, aside from just the logistical issues, we'll call them. You know, what each one means, who is wearing what. Although all of Bones' uniforms in that movie, actually all of his clothing in that movie is Disco Bones is not
Disco
Bones is great.
He's got those. Wow.
Oh my God, the deep V's on every single top. Yeah,
Some chesties sticking out, some nice chest hairs.
Yeah, Bones. Actually, you know what? Favorite character? Bones.
There you go. Bones is a good pick.
Yeah.
Oh, his cameo in TNG is one of the most poignant scenes. It's just so beautiful.
Every time I cry. Every time.
Oh man. Yeah.
Treat her good, she'll bring you home. That one.
Treat her like a lady. Yeah.
Yeah, treat her like a lady. She'll always bring you home.
Oh.
That is a good one.
Yeah, Bones. Yeah. Bones.
They always overlook the times then they like trash their ships. Just like we don't always bring the ship home, but she'll always bring you home.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and if you get tired of Star Trek for a moment, just a moment. We have other podcasts on our net. I mean, it'll never happen, but if so, get your X-Men podcast and
Amazing.
The X-Men animated review show.
Amazing.
Or hear some interviews with people in comics, film, and whatnot over at the Graphic Histories podcast. Most recent one, an interview with the creator of Roger Rabbit, Gary K. Wolf. So check that out.
Yes.
And of course, we have Hold Up a Movie podcast. The next one is on bicycle movies. Check that out as well.
Amazing.
This is we have a bit of a network over here called
I love it.
The United Federation of Podcasts.
That's fantastic.
Yes, and they have Super Mater Brothers. They do reality show reviews. Aiming on Track, if you want to talk about music. Trivial Debates.
Wow.
It's a fun one. Yeah. You're welcome on any of these Trek things you mentioned or anything else that piques your fancy.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
And of course, we had a Hellbound podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan, and I don't have their logo, but the newest member of our federation. Hey, did you see this one? I think they actually have an episode going on right now, live on the internet.
Right on.
So go. But I'm glad you're all here instead.
Exactly.
Indeed.
But that's it.
Indeed.
Any final words from anyone about the art of Star Trek or anything else?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, the art builds the worlds. It's, it literally builds the worlds so that we can hang out in them and live in them. And it's so important and so awesome.
Oh, one more question for you before we go.
Yeah.
Because I don't think you've done one yet. What
Surprise!
as a scene from Strange New Worlds so far has stuck out to you that you'd like to paint?
Mm. Hmm. Ooh. Ooh. There's so many great images. The colors and the sets are they're just so
so colorful.
so sharp and like oh gosh, a single scene. Actually, you know what? Probably something from those old scientists. Probably. Speaking of the the lower decks, just because there's some really great moments in that in that episode.
And Spock peeking out after
exactly that Hugo nominated episode, incidentally.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So probably, but oh god, there's just again, because of that AR wall and because of the way that they've just the aesthetic that they've created, they're when they're on planets, there's some really, really cool stuff happening. When they're on the ship, there's some really, really cool stuff happening. So even their bar is gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
Pike's quarters are the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen.
Pike cooking. Oh, I need to do a pike apron. Ooh, yes, I'm writing that down right now.
That's a good one.
If I ever find some time.
Jambalaya with
fireplace
and parsley.
I mean, we've all agreed it's kind of insane. But they're a gorgeous, swanky pad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would like on a starship.
Like, I feel like they've done such a good job there tying the TOS aesthetic into this sort of newish,
except for Pike's quarters, because if you see what Kirk's quarters look like after that, he inherits that ship, and then he gets a closet, and which is smaller than Pike's kitchen.
Restraint there.
Yeah, it's the minimalist refit. Yeah, you know.
Like too much.
Such a good kitchen. I just want his kitchen. It's better than mine.
Oh my god, I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, that is one gorgeous room.
Most of mine are probably around Mbenga. They're all more serious on that show, but I love Mbenga. Like that one from Under the Cloak of War, where Pike comes and confronts him if he killed Dakra. He says no, but I'm glad he's dead. And just that look between them is. Like he's just kind of like leaning back. Oh, it's so good. Oh man, so good.
He's a character. Yeah,
he really is. He really is. Like, I'm really happy with what they're doing on that show.
Too.
I think it's great.
Yep. I look forward to the Jenny Johnson Strange New Worlds art.
Let's see what I can do.
You can make an art.
I can make an art, no problem.
I buy an art.
Yeah, I like art. I buy art.
Well, I guess there's only one thing left to say.
End transmission.